Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we do another deep dive into Shudder. And let's get to the list. Caveat is a 2020 Irish horror movie. Written, directed, and edited by Damien McCarthy. It stars Jonathan French, Leela Sykes, and Ben Kaplan. A lone drifter suffering from partial memory loss accepts a job to look after a psychologically troubled woman in an abandoned house on an isolated island. This is such a cool movie that no one ever talks about, and it really surprises me because I know the year that it came out in 2020, 2021, you did hear a few people buzzing about it, but it never really picked up the steam that I thought it would. Because it's so mysterious and creepy and original and unique in a lot of different ways. It's as much of a mystery as it is a horror movie. And the way that it shows all that, and the way it slowly unravels to show you the full picture, I think is really well done. But it's well acted, directed, I love the look of it and the style. It's just a fantastic little movie, and one that I highly recommend.
This house seems unfamiliar.
Relic is a 2020 psychological horror movie. Directed by Natalie Erica James, it stars Emily Mortimer, Robin Nevin, and Bella Heathcote. A daughter, mother, and grandmother are haunted by a manifestation of dementia that consumes their family home.
What's this?
I was on the property when your grandfather inherited it. His mind wasn't there in the end.
So I've heard about this movie for quite a while now. I just never got around to checking it out. For one, the name Relic is confusing because there's so many different horror movies with that name. And so just trying to get a handle on which Relic it was that I hadn't seen and where to watch it and things like that, it just took me a bit. But I am so glad that I finally checked this out. This is such a wonderfully done movie. It's well written. The characters feel so real, so authentic. It really feels like a family dealing with this situation. And the way that it deals with something as haunting and chilling in the real world as dementia, I thought was just fantastic. But it also starts to get very creepy, unnerving, and disturbing. Just the mood and atmosphere, the way that it's shot, the pacing of it. It's slow, but it doesn't really feel that way because the way that it's constantly prodding along and developing more and more of this uneasiness, it just keeps you captivated. So if you're a fan of atmospheric, disturbing, haunting movies, this is one you should absolutely add to your list.
No tiene que tener sangre en las manos, no en este lugar. A estos seres les gusta la sangre.
Terrified is a 2017 Argentine horror movie, written and directed by Demian Rugna. It stars George Lewis, Max Milano Guioni, and Natalia Cinerales. The plot's about a group of paranormal researchers who investigate strange events in a neighborhood in Buenos Aires.
Esto implica que nosotros tres vamos a dividirnos en cada una de las casas donde creemos que ocurran los fenómenos paranormales.
If you've watched this channel for the last few months, you've definitely heard me talk about When Evil Lurks, because that was by far my favorite movie last year, and it's such a phenomenal movie. It was the buzz in the horror world in general from last year. Well, Demian Rugna, the guy that created that movie, also did this. It was his first film. And I would argue this is right there with When Evil Lurks. It's hard to say which one is a better movie. They're both unique and different and absolutely disturbing in the most fucked up ways. I mean, from the jump, this movie is giving you haunting imagery, disturbing scene after disturbing scene. It gets gross and gory and graphic and uncomfortable in every way imaginable. It's why I've been telling everyone that'll listen about Demian Rugna and how, in my opinion, he is the most exciting horror filmmaker going right now. I just can't wait to see what he does next. But this movie is haunting and so uncomfortable in so many different ways. It is one that I highly recommend.
He's already here.
The Dark and the Wicked is a 2020 supernatural horror movie, written and directed by Brian Bertino. It stars Marin Ireland and Michael Abbott Jr. The story follows two siblings who are summoned back to their family farm to await the inevitable death of their father. And what initially appears to be a timeless ritual of loss and remembrance turns out to be something far different.
She would sit right beside him, just whispering. But she wasn't talking to him.
This is such a bleak, disturbing, very dark film. It's uncomfortable right from the beginning. Just the color choices, the way that it's shot, the mood, the pacing, everything about it just feels disturbing. It's one of those movies that feels like a slow burn until it's not, because every time you think you kind of got a beat on what this movie's doing and the pacing at which things are going to happen, it surprises you and throws a wrench in that and changes up and does something different. It's full of haunting scenes that just get under your skin and stick with you. So if you're a fan of somber, uncomfortable, disturbing movies, this is one you should definitely give a look. You should never have come here! The Hallow is a 2015 Irish creature feature horror movie. Directed by Corin Hardy, it stars Joseph Mall, Bowana Novakovic, and Michael Smiley. A family who moves into a remote mill house in Ireland find themselves in a fight for survival, with demonic creatures living in the woods.
They believe that the forest that you're trampling on belongs to the Hallow. Hallow. Fairies, banshees, baby stealers.
I'm definitely a sucker for creature feature movies, but especially ones that are well done, especially ones that get creepy and unnerving, and this does a great job of that. For one, the way the creatures look and the origin and story behind them, I think is creative and clever and a lot of fun. It's creepy and unnerving, it's intense and exciting. I think this movie is a great time, and if you're a fan of creature features like I am, this is one you should definitely check out.
What did you do, Wes?
Makes me wish I'd driven the extra 40 miles to the next rest stop.
That wouldn't have helped.
Why? Is there a troll living in that one?
Glorious is a 2022 cosmic horror movie. Directed by Rebecca McKendry, it stars Ryan Quanten and J.K. Simmons. The film involves a heartbroken man who encounters a primordial deity in a nearby bathroom stall that requires him to satisfy it through the stall's glory hole.
I'm not much of a bathroom talker.
You're not in the least bit curious as to what I have to say.
I'm just not into conversations with random dudes hiding out in bathroom stalls.
So in my opinion, a lot of people kind of missed this one, kind of skipped over it, and I think partly to do with the synopsis of it. Because yes, this movie does have a lot of comedy in it. I'm not going to argue that at all. It's definitely funny, but it's not as funny as you would expect it to be. It's much more of a cosmic horror movie than you would think going in. Because it gets actually pretty dark, pretty intense, it gets dramatic at times, and definitely exciting. It's really imaginative and creative. I'm a big fan of Rebecca McKendry. I listen to her podcast every week. It's called Colors of the Dark, and it's just so informative. She's actually a professor at USC and one of the more knowledgeable horror aficionados you'll ever listen to. And you can really tell it comes through in this movie because just the way that it's shot, it's such a simple one location kind of piece, and yet it doesn't feel that way. It's captivating, it's exciting, it keeps you engaged the entire time. And yes, it does have humor, and the humor that's there is very funny. But I think that if you focus on that element, you'll really miss out on what this movie really has to offer. So if you're a fan of cosmic horror like I am and have missed this one, do yourself a favor and check it out. Slapface is a 2021 horror movie, written and directed by Jeremiah Kipp. It stars Live Bearer, August Matero, and Mike Manning. It's about a boy who deals with the loss of his mother by creating a dangerous relationship with a monster rumored to live in the woods. Here's another one that absolutely is just flown under the radar. Another one that nobody knows about, and in my opinion anyway, a really well done little movie. It's really imaginative and creative, but also moody and disturbing. And it dives into some things that on the surface, it doesn't seem like it would. It deals with some really powerful, uncomfortable issues, and it's really layered and emotional as well. I really appreciate the way that it's shot, the special effects, because this is a very small budget kind of movie, but they made the most of what they had. So this is one, if you just go with an open mind and your expectations in check, I think you could definitely have a good time with it.
You're a loser and you're gonna die a loser.
Now that was rock and roll.
Stop. Just be cool. And don't murder anyone else.
Destroy All Neighbors is a 2024 comedy horror movie. Directed by Josh Forbes, it stars Alex Winter, Jonah Ray, and Kieran Deol. A struggling prog rock musician finds himself in a living nightmare when he accidentally kills the neighbor from hell.
What's going on?
I think we have a new neighbor.
This movie is just plain fun. It's bonkers, it's wild, it's silly, it's gross, it's gooey and ooey, but I think it's a great time. It's absolutely one to just kind of turn your brain off at the door and have fun with. It is very much a silly popcorn horror kind of movie. It has a lot of physical kind of humor, a lot of body horror, and just silliness throughout. And Alex Winter is incredible in this. You will not recognize him, I promise you. It reminds me of the movie Airheads with Brendan Fraser and Adam Sandler back in the day. I loved that movie as a teenager, and it kind of has similarities to that. But if you were to take that movie and put it on acid, like it's just way more over the top, way more wild, gory, campy, and just plain silly. But the practical effects are fantastic in this. The acting is great. It's just a fantastic time, and one that I think you definitely could have a blast with.
我找到你了。
The Sadness is a 2021 Taiwanese body horror movie. Written and directed by Rob Jabez in his feature film debut. It stars Barant Zhu and Regina. The plot's about a young couple trying to reunite in a city ravaged by a plague that turns its victims into deranged, bloodthirsty sadists.
但年轻人是怎样？
This movie is wild. I mean, it is about as gory and as off-putting as anything you'll find. It's just full of gore and depravity and uncomfortable, just the most fucked up things you could possibly imagine. It's loosely inspired by a graphic novel called The Crossed. And it's, like I said, it's just as uncomfortable and gory as you could possibly imagine. It's just constantly violent. There's just one depraved thing after another happening. And so because of that, it is off-putting for a lot of people and just not for everyone. But if you like bloody, gory, uncomfortable, just fucked up movies, this is one you should definitely give a look.
Oh, come on, like, what are we supposed to do about this?
Boys from County Hell is a 2020 Irish comedy horror movie. Written and directed by Chris Baugh. It stars Jack Rowan, Nigel O'Neill, and Louisa Harland. A crew of road workers, led by a bickering father and son, must survive the night when they accidentally awaken an ancient Irish vampire.
I saw something weird.
Whose fault's that? Fuck this, I'm out!
So to this point, I'm not sure if I had ever seen a movie prior to this one that had to do with Irish vampires. And they're not a ton different. I mean, they are still vampires, but there are a few little twists and things along the way that I found to be interesting and just fun. Because this movie is very entertaining, it's funny, it definitely had me laughing out loud at times. But it also doesn't forget that it's a horror movie. There are definitely horror moments, creepy scenes, bloodiness. It's just a great little gem. And really just another one that you never hear anybody talk about. But the humor that's in it is very witty and charming. The whole movie in general just has this charm to it. It just feels wholesome in a really fantastic horror way. I found it to be creative and really surprising, and one that I think is a perfect pick for your Saturday night. So do yourself a favor this weekend, pick one of the movies off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy, and enjoy! And that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this every single week, I also want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys mean absolutely so much to me. And if you would like to help support this channel over on Patreon, there's a link down in the description. Or if you want to become a channel member and help support the channel that way, there's a button right down there that says join. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun! And if you enjoyed this, click right here to watch me talk about 10 more recommendations that you should definitely check out. And I'll see you guys next time!